Well, exploring the subtle energy is to really ultimately discover that everything is made of that in a sense, right? So the difficult, the moments we might describe as difficult, uncomfortable, scary, whatever, perplexing, are expressions of the subtle energy, actually. Could say what are they made of? Well, they're made of, right? They're alive, right? Everything's alive.
Yeah.
So it's not even like bringing the subtle energy sort of to those states, but rather seeing that that is what they're made of, which is why this kind of exploration is really the complete polar opposite of sort of doing some sort of end around to, as you said, kind of get away from or bypass or sort of avoid certain experiences. It's to discover that the experiences that we imagine to be problematic, threatening in some way, lacking in some way, and so on and so on, are from this other perspective. Yeah, from one perspective, yes, they are what they are, right? Just like from the perspective of the dream, they are what they seem to be. Then we wake from the dream and realize, whoa, holy cow, it's like it's not merely that, it's also this other perspective on it, that it is of one fathomless, substanceless substance called consciousness. By sort of discovering the primal, we could say one of the primal ways to encounter all this diversity of experience that we sometimes love, but oftentimes gets us all twisted up in knots and creates the experience we know as human suffering, is from this other vantage, it's this movement of life, this movement of energy that doesn't have like the ordinary notions of good and bad energy, let's say, or positive or negative energy. It's, we could say it's intrinsically, is my sense of it at least, it's actually intrinsically positive, but it's a positive that has no opposite to it. It's positive in the sense of its, the Buddhists would say, its suchness, its existence. And it's the energy is non-conceptual, you know, it doesn't have a narrative. It's just, it's pure, it's free of all the narratives. That's another aspect to it. And in that sense, by touching the energetic nature of everything, we could say the alive nature of everything, the suchness of it, we open a window into a whole nother way to encounter what, from the other perspective of how we're describing everything, it's like, well, that's terrible, or that's great, or right, or this is a threat, or this is a benefit, or this is a problem, no, this is not a problem, right, and on and on and on. We discover like something entirely different that's outside of those conceptual frames of reference altogether. Like it's completely non-conceptual. And that is liberating. It's a liberating thing to discover, because right in the heart of, I mean, I won't elaborate on the details, but just going through some stuff like humanly kind of moments of challenge, like the last whatever week or so, it's like, yeah, from within one perspective, yeah, it's like, this is challenging as hell, you know, and confusing and perplexing as heck. And then to feel it as this pure presence of this subtle energy is to discover like this whole other way to encounter it. That's just, it's free of problem. It's free of definition. It's free of description. It's free of narrative. It's free of limit or lack. It's open-ended. It's completely open-ended and indefinable ultimately. Because as I was starting to do a little bit, as you explore, you know, sort of reduce it all to subtle energy, and then you explore the subtle energy, and then you're just dumped into the emptiness of it. You're dumped into the unknowability of what energy even is. And through that kind of exploration, you discover that this is true of all of our experience. We both simultaneously know what it is, seemingly, and have words often to characterize it, and ways of framing it, such that we can speak about it with one another to some degree. And then at the same time, those very things we seem to have a handle on, conceptually, linguistically, definitionally, and so on, we actually have zero handle on them. We have no idea what they actually are. They're fundamentally not resolvable or determinable. owing to their infinite nature. They're infinite. They're not, the infinity won't be collapsed into anything definable or definite, right? It's infinite. It's not definite. It's infinite. And feeling everything as subtle energy is a kind of an easy, sort of very accessible, sort of palpable doorway into yet that kind of next step, if you will, to discover that I don't even know what energy is. I don't know what energy is made of either.